I stole my father's will. The words hung in the air like a curse, thick and suffocating. The judge's gavel came down with a crack that echoed through the courtroom, and the murmurs of the crowd swelled around me. My fingers dug into the edge of the defense table, the wood smooth and cold beneath my sweating palms. The grain of the oak bit into my fingertips as I pressed harder, as if the pain could anchor me to the moment. Across the room my father's lawyer stood, his voice steady but sharp, cutting through the noise like a blade. The defendant, Marcus Holloway, is charged with forgery and fraud. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I swallowed hard, my throat dry, my hands trembling so badly I had to clench them into fists to keep from shaking. I never meant for it to come to this. Not really. My father had been sick for years, his body failing him, his breath rattling in his chest like a broken engine. I remember the first time I saw him in the hospital, his skin pale as parchment, his hands trembling as he tried to sign his name on a visitor's form. The pen slipped from his grip, the blue ink bleeding into the paper like a wound. He'd been in and out of those sterile white rooms, the smell of antiseptic clinging to his clothes, his voice growing weaker with each visit. The hum of the machines, the squeak of the nurse's shoes, those sounds became the soundtrack of my life. And me? I was the one who handled the paperwork, the bills, the legal documents, the will. He'd left everything to me. His house, his business, even his old truck, the one he taught me to drive in, the one that still smelled like oil and leather. The vinyl seats were cracked with age, the steering wheel worn smooth under my palms. I'd always thought that was just how it was, that it was my responsibility, my burden to bear. But then Lila came to me. I remember the way she looked at me that night, her eyes wide with something between fear and fury. She stood in the doorway of my apartment, her coat still damp from the rain, her hair sticking to her cheeks. The scent of wet wool filled the narrow hallway. "Dad's getting worse," she said, her voice trembling. The words hung between us, heavy as the storm outside. I told her I was fine, that I could handle it, but she kept pushing, her fingers tightening around the strap of her bag. "What if something happens to you?" she asked. "You're not the only one who loves him." The lamplight flickered, casting her shadow long against the wall. That night I sat at the kitchen table, the will spread out in front of me, the ink still fresh on the page. The lamplight cast long shadows across the paper, the words blurring as I stared at them. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator, the distant drip of the faucet, the sound of my own breath, shallow and uneven. The pen in my hand felt too light, too easy. I knew I couldn't just walk away, so I made a copy, and then another, and then I changed the numbers. The scratch of the pen was the only sound in the room. I cut Lila out. I made sure the money went to the hospital instead of her. I told myself it was the right thing, that she didn't need it, that she didn't understand. But when the lawyer called me in, I knew I was in trouble. The police found the forged signatures. The ink didn't match, the pressure of the pen was all wrong. The courtroom was packed, the air thick with the scent of polished wood and sweat. My father's face was on the screen, his eyes hollow, his skin sallow. The projector buzzed, throwing his image in grainy relief against the wall. I thought about how he'd always told me, honesty is the best policy, but I didn't listen. The judge sentenced me to 3 years. The cuffs were cold against my wrists as they led me away. Lila visited me in prison. The visiting room smelled of disinfectant and stale coffee. She didn't say sorry. She just said, "You could have told me." Her voice was quiet, but it cut deeper than any accusation. I told her I knew, but I didn't. Now I'm out, free. The prison gates clanged behind me, the sound echoing in my chest. But the truth is, I still don't know if I'm better off. My father's gone. Lila's gone. And I'm left with nothing but the weight of my own choices. Honesty isn't just a policy. It's the only way forward.